Welcome everybody to episode 6 of Draft Day Sports College Football 26 UAB Blazers playthrough. Where we left off on episode 5, I just finished, I think, with my East Carolina game and had won that one 24-7. It had put me at 2-2. It was my first home conference game. This one, I'm going to cover a couple games. I've actually went through and played Central Florida and got through the week 6 and went into 7 and just completed week 7. Two very disappointing games. Lost both of them. Central Florida, I lost 31-24. And on the road to SMU, I lost 41-10, which was just a nightmare shellacking. Especially in the second half. Issue I have right now is I'm really struggling in the second half. I think I've only scored in these 6 games a total of 22 points in the second half, third and fourth quarters of all these games. Halfway through the schedule, that's basically five field goals and 1 touchdown in 6 games in the second half. Definitely outscoring my opponents in the first half and just not adjusting. Something's just desperately amiss in the second half on these. But so if you recall, going back to East Carolina on that game there, we was up 14-0 at halftime and ended up getting 10 points there. The week before that, in this Jacksonville State game, was 21-6. It was 21-6 at halftime. I scored nothing in the second half, but fortunately held them off, and they scored nothing in the second half. But in Central Florida, sadly, on this one, we were up 21-10 at halftime. And honestly, they scored with 1:40 left in the second quarter. They got their touchdown. So with 3 minutes left in the half there, I was actually up 21-3, or 21-3, and they got that late touchdown in that quarter. When at halftime, I was still up 21-10, and then just this one, the wheels kind of came off again to a degree. It's like I'm putting up yards, running, doing the things I want to do, just not finishing things out in the second half. And this game in particular, though, this was a game where Arlen was back, so I actually got him back. I ended up starting Ferguson. Still started him, but I had Arlen in on an RPO package and still played, kind of both of them, kind of split snaps, I guess, if you will. So, basically on this game against UCF, he had 41 snaps, Ferguson did, and Arlen against UCF ended up having 47 snaps. So it was about a 50-50 split on those two guys. 3 interceptions were thrown, and all 3 interceptions that were thrown was in the last 8 minutes of the game. 3 different drives. Ferguson threw his 2, and then I just, at that point, I pulled Ferguson and put Arlen in, and on the last drive, with a minute left, just trying to get down the field, ended up throwing another pick. But I had 4 turnovers, and I think all 4 of them happened in the second half. And I got outscored 21-3 in the second half and ended up losing. All in all, though, 403 yards to 353. 11 of 17 on third down efficiency. Held them to 4 of 13. Kind of won that battle. They had well more penalties than I had, 12 to my 5. I controlled the ball from the ground game. Time of possession had them as well. Ran 263 yards on 45 carries. Another great day running the ball. Passing was probably the first game that I've actually been above 50%. Ferguson was 10 of 20 and Arlen was 8 of 15. Just not a lot of yards. Just a lot of short out passes and things. I just can't get anything downfield. And running again, Ware ended up having another great day. Got a great day on specific packages and things that I'm kind of using him for, and it's really got me rethinking. So I think in the future, I think both of my fullbacks, I believe, are underclass. No, I don't think they're underclassmen, but I think, yeah, they're both juniors. All right, so next year they're both going to be seniors. So I'm going to have to be looking for a fullback in the next year's recruiting class. Quite honestly, I probably should look for one possibly this year, and I may actually do that kind of towards the end, depending on how things fall out. But having Ware and being able to utilize him with this, the high strength, high speed type back that he is, I really, really like that a lot. So I'm probably going to be trying to recruit that again, I think, in the future, especially with having to replace both of those guys. But I really kind of love having that in the short yardage package and having that high speed, high strength fullback as a third down back, especially on a third and short, fourth and short type scenarios. One with decent hands that can kind of catch on a 3rd and 5 out of the backfield. He's worked out really, really, really well. Arlen had a decent game, and I'm going to send something off to Brooks on this, but I do notice, and I noticed that in the first game of the season, and I went back and kind of looked at it, I think it was against Tennessee, where Arlen had that 2 carries for 50 yards. You notice the long shows 0. Something's not calculating right on the quarterbacks. It's not really showing what they have. And so if you look at this game here too, Arlen had 8 carries for 61 yards. It shows his long was 3. It's impossible. If he had 8 carries and the long was 3 and all 8 of them was for 3, it'd be 24 yards. So something's definitely not calculating correctly on logging at least the quarterback runs. Not sure why that is, but I'll send something off to him about that and get them to look at that. Passing wise, McCants had 4 catches, everything short. Stafford 5 catches, everything short. I think the longest pass of the day, Stafford had a 16-yarder, and I had 2 15-yarders. Everything else pretty much was like 10 yards or less. Just nothing really significant on the passing game. I don't have the guys, the speed, just a lot of things that I'm lacking there. And I get in a 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10 situation. It's just pretty much game over. I mean, it's not converting. Best thing I can do is trying to use my run game, getting in a 3rd and short, and just continuing to try and attack it that way. But kicking game, nothing special on the kicking game there. Didn't have anything big on returns or anything. Defensively, again, I think these are my defensive backs. I've got my strong safety and my free safety. Both safeties kind of leading the tackles there, which not ideally what you want to really see, but had 2 sacks this game. Forrest had 1, Jenkins had 1. Forrest was pretty good game by Forrest. I mean, he had 3 tackles, 1 sack. He did have a knockdown and 4 hurries. So I mean, he was kind of in there pretty hard on the quarterback, as was Turner. So 4 hurries there as well. So we was able to rush him pretty hard when we needed to get in. And a lot of that happened in the first half because I had him shut down pretty good in the first half, and he got a lot of this in the second half. Their running game kind of basically had it nulled out pretty good. The first half I really did well against these guys, and just the bulk of everything they got was second half. And penalties, nothing. Again, like I said, they have way more penalties than I had. But I think the thing that really just crushed me was 4 turnovers to their none. I didn't get anything back, and all 4 of those happening in the second half was pretty critical. So going out of that one, we finished our 2 games at home and went into the road conference game to Southern Miss, and this is one that just where the wheels had just really come off the wagon in the second half. Had this game in the first half, 10-10 at halftime. I was leading 10-3. 6 minutes left. They got a run by their fullback. It tied it up 10-10, and then the second half I was just beat 31-0. Completely shut out in the second half, and just couldn't do anything defensively in the second half. They ended up with 530 yards, and I think if I remember correctly, looking back on it at halftime, I think they had, I think we both were right around the 200-yard mark. So I think maybe they had 180. So they ended up getting literally 350 of their yards in the second half, and I got nothing. I had maybe 100 yards in the second half. Had Ferguson in really the bulk of or not Ferguson, I'm sorry, this game I did start Arlen. Had him in the bulk of the game, and then finally I think in the fourth quarter, just trying to get some kind of change, I ended up pulling Arlen, kept Arlen really on the RPO package, but put Ferguson in, and was utilizing him just on a lot of just strictly passing. He actually did, I feel like, better than this 6 of 14. I think three or four of those come on and kind of at the very end, where there was just like 4 incompletions in a row. Again, just not a lot of yards passing, just not anything really getting downfield. I had this one, or actually 2 of them. Berrien's had a 28 and McCants had a 27, and both of those were post. And then unfortunately, the pick that Arlen threw was on a post. So I had 2 big plays, went back to it, and then threw the pick. They got to me one time, I got to them one time. Wasn't really anything heavy on the sack side of it. Their quarterback, this Ben Hughes, was 19 of 30 for 236 yards. Again, the bulk of all of that was second half. He didn't really do a lot in the first half. Upton, I think both of these, the 57 and the 69, I think came in the second half. The 69, Kellis Cunningham's run was the last one in the fourth quarter, and that was where I turned it over on downs on the 31, and their first play from scrimmage, boom, right back the other way, 41 to 10, 69-yard run. And then this other Upton 57-yard run was in the second half as well. So both of those actually came in the second half. And then of course, this, throwing that trying to get another post call with my receivers, running post down the field. That was that 50-yard interception return. So they had a pick 6 as well. So looking at those 2 plays, you take those 14 off, you're looking at 27 to 10. It's still a shellacking. So I mean, it just is what it is. I got to figure out the second half. I got to figure out what's happening. I don't know. Maybe I think I really need to start looking, because I did look in this game here trying to figure it out, and I did see defensively, time of possession. I've actually, with my running game, I've kind of had the plus side on the time of possession against most all of the opponents and everybody I've played, and even in a couple of the losses. This game here, they had time of possession on me. They had 32 minutes to my 27. Probably the lowest rushing game I've had. I still had 33 attempts. Still ran 68 plays. It's the only game I've had where I've thrown more than I've ran. 35 attempts to 33. But the one thing I did notice in looking at my defense, and maybe I need to go back through my defensive packages a little bit and mix some things up, but I need to look at really starting to interchange some guys out, because I jumped in at one point and looked at my lineups and kind of looked at the, I guess it's not the health rating, but it's the their stamina, and several of them was dropping down pretty heavily. So I think what I may do is on defense is trying to adjust that to where I think now they're on going out at 60 and coming back in at 80. Maybe I need to do that to something like a 70. Have them go out at 70 and come back in at 85 or something, and start getting a few more people rotated in and out, and see if that doesn't actually change or help. I don't really have an answer for what's going on there. I am giving up a lot in the second half, but I'm also not scoring either, and so I'm controlling my offense, and I know what my offense is doing, and I'm still having a really hard time in the second half of even getting anything downfield for them. In the running game, didn't do bad from an average standpoint. Again, Bedford was out again, so he got injured in the Central Florida game, so he's second injury. He's missed another game. And this is one I had to put Williams back in, and he's definitely not Bedford. Not doing as well as Bedford, but Bedford's got a lot more speed to the outside, I think, and does a lot better outside running. I couldn't really get much outside on these guys either. But Ware actually did good, had that 45-yard run, and had the one touchdown. I think it was actually the short run, the 1-yard run where I kind of got it down. I think that same drive is the drive that he had that 45-yard run on too in the second quarter. Got us down to about the 25, and then we worked it into the side of the 10. Got inside the 10 on a penalty, and got it down to the 1, and was able to punch it in from there. So that gives him, I think, six rushing touchdowns. Yeah, on the season, 466 yards in 6 games. He's as a fullback, he's pushing average up to 1,000. He's on pace to be over 900 yards for the end of the season, keeping it up. Passing wise, Crawley, I did try and want to target my tight ends more, just because I think their corners were pretty dang decent. And actually, they really had decent safeties too. They had a really good secondary. But I definitely was wanting to kind of target short and try and get my tight ends and running backs. I was trying to get both of them kind of into the mix a little bit more. And I ended up completing four to my backfield and three to tight ends. So basically 7 of almost half of the completions really went to the tight ends and backfield. The rest went to the receivers. So that kind of played out kind of what I was wanting to do, but I just couldn't get much of anything in the second half. Kicking wise, nothing extraordinary there. I mean, I did miss I think it's right at a 47-yard field goal early in the game that I ended up missing. And then, punting wise, I think Seitz is actually doing really, really well punting. 35 punts, he's averaging over 48 yards on 35 punts. He's got 15 of them inside the 20, so he's done really, really well. Nothing big on the return game. There really wasn't a lot of returns here for the times that I kicked off. I don't think they actually had a kickoff return. Yeah, they did have a kickoff return. I only had one, and I think they ended. What with 41 scores, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 kickoffs, and I only returned one of them. So a lot of that was pretty non-existent. And then I, returned two punts. Didn't do anything on the punting side. Again, the turnovers on this one here. They had one turnover, or I had one turnover. I'm sorry, it was the interception. They actually had one as well, but theirs was a fumble. And then on the defensive side, got one sack in this one. This was on a blitz play. My safety ended up getting this one. So that's actually the first sack by one of my secondary guys so far on the season. Didn't really hurry a lot. Forrest had a couple more hurries and 3 knockdowns. Jenkins had 1. Not much else there. Sadler had 2 tackles for losses. He had a pretty decent game. He's the one that forced the fumble and recovered it as well. So he's actually done really well. Amara Carla is probably one of my top tackling guys right now. He's a sophomore too, so I'm kind of really liking that. He's probably going to be one that's going to work out at 78. So he should be, hopefully next year in junior season, he's plus in the 80s overall in some areas. And then of course McCray. He's a junior as well. He's an overall 86. He's a really good safety I've got, and he's going to be back. So I've got some promising guys returning. As far as what I'm losing, kind of take a look at that. And that's the good thing about some of that is if I look at like my seniors, and this is kind of what I have kind of leaving. Going to lose a really good safety here. Losing my two tight ends. Of course, that's going to be rough. And then my best receiver, he's going to be gone. This center, I'm not really even starting him. So the center I'm starting is Olsen. I think he's a junior, so he's going to be coming back. And I've got a really good underclassman center that's going to be coming up behind him. I'm recruiting one too. My best corner is going to be gone. Losing a couple guys on the inside. Losing Forrest, he's going to be gone. So really a lot of really top guys and guys that I have a lot of dependency on right now, I'm going to lose. But then also too, I'm going to have quite a bit, some returning. So and then hopefully with what I'm able to get in recruiting, it's going to be able to help as well. But next on the schedule, I've got 2 more games on the road. I'm going to be playing 2-4 Marshall, and then on the road at Houston. Both of those games are probably going to be pretty tough. I think, before the season started, I was looking at it. I think I was picked to finish 9th out of 12 teams in the Conference USA, and Conference USA is one of the weaker conferences overall. And, they kind of had me picked 9th. So I was really kind of looking at the season thinking, maybe it'll be a 3-9 year. And currently right now I'm 2-4, so I'm on a pace to be 4-8. So it's not really too far off target from where I wanted. I just really feel like I've just went backwards these last 2 games. I know they're stronger opponents, but it's just a little bit tougher. Kind of hard not to get a little discouraged on some of that. But Central Florida was picked to win the Conference USA, and I actually had them 21-3 late in the second quarter. So I mean that's I guess that's something. East Carolina was picked ahead of me to finish like 7th, and I beat them. Southern Miss was kind of a middle-of-the-road team. Looks like they're about 4th or 5th down. The only teams picked behind me was really Middle Tennessee, Rice, and Southern Mississippi. And Rice and Southern Mississippi is not even on my schedule. They're the 2 opponents that I'm not playing in the other division. It's too bad they're not on the schedule this year, I guess, right? But with that said, so I do have Middle Tennessee. So coming up, after I get through these next 2 road games, I got the next 3 at home, and that's where I'm going to really try and target some more invitations to get some of these recruits in to these games. And so particularly, I think these 2 are definitely winnable. It might be the only 2 winnable ones I have left, and if I'm sitting 2-4, and if I get those, then maybe I do finish 4-8. If I only get one of them, I mean, I just really to kind of get to the target of where I thought I'd be on a 3-9 season, I really only need one more win. I'm not going to be happy with it, but would definitely like to at least get both of these games and do everything I can. I mean, I think Marshall could be doable, but I do believe they have me as an underdog again here. On this one, so yeah, I'm a 6.5 point underdog. I was 10.5 point underdog on Southern Miss or SMU, Southern Methodist. And I thought I was going to cover that spread, and then they just blew me away in the second half. But looking at the injuries, so I've got basically 3 guys probable now. Bedford's probable. Jamfinger, he'll play. He'll be back in the game, and as will Mays and Trotter. Both will be coming back. I don't think I had Trotter or Bedford or Neal at all the last game, and that's kind of really 2 pretty big defensive guys that missed, and then my best running back was out as well. But I'll have everybody back except Neal. It looks like Neal's still going to end up missing another game. And then if you look at on their side, this Edmondson. I think he's a starter, but I'm sure he'll play, as will Bowers. He's probably one of their best defensive guys, best linebacker that they have. But the other 3 look like they're going to miss. So they've got this guard who's I think he's a starter, but he's not great. He's not outstanding. And this Donathan Robinson, really good safety they've got. He's out, so he won't be playing against me. And Casey Whitehead, their tight end, I think they're starting tight end. He's out pretty much for the rest of the season. If you kind of look at where we are from a point standpoint, right now I'm 11th in conference, 112th in the nation on offense. Defensively, I'm 5th in conference, 73 in the nation. Kind of going to their 7-95 and 10th in the conference against defense. So, they're giving up 30 points a game. So hopefully, I can actually answer some of that. And again, it's going to be full heavy on running. For the most part, I think, unfortunately, I think I've got enough history going now. When I'm playing these teams, I think they're looking at what I'm doing and how much more I'm running, and they're obviously targeting that. As would I. Hell, if I have to see the same thing, I'm going to do the same thing. So, but interesting enough, I'm averaging 248 yards a game on the ground, which is first in conference, third in the country. I'm third in the country in rushing. But the flip side of that is I'm 121st in the country passing, 10th in my conference. This is going to be a matchup here. So if you look at what I do defensively against the pass, I'm 2nd in the conference, 16th in the nation against the pass. They're 2nd in the conference, 58th in the nation offensively throwing the ball. So I guess it's Corey Hart is the guy. He's actually from Alabama. But so that's going to be an interesting matchup there. And then the flip side of that is they're worst in the conference and almost last in the nation against the pass. And I'm well down. It's going to be an interesting game because it's my worst against their worst and best against their best. So it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of turns out. So that piece of it there, I haven't really gone through. So I just really finished the SMU game. So as far as my strategies and stuff, I haven't really gone through. It's my SMU game plan that I kind of had and what I've kind of targeted. I haven't really looked and created my Marshall one. So that'll be next episode. I think ultimately on that, as well as like the play analysis and things that are kind of going through. If you look, from a formation standpoint, offensively, I'm again the pro set. I'm running a lot of pro set. I really would like to run more of a more shotgun and more spread, and I'm kind of starting to really pick up on the shotgun side of it, especially with Arlen back. I'm actually using the shotgun and spread, those two formations, to run most of the RPO out of. And I'm kind of picking up on that a little bit and getting more and more involved in that. And I think, with Arlen, if being back and if he stays healthy, and I'm kind of going with him a little bit more, I'll continue to do more of that. Defensively, ever since that East Carolina game, which, a lot of that dime base and the nickel that's here, a lot of this really came out of that game, but since then I actually have really used a little bit more. It did really well against East Carolina. Ran some dime against SMU, especially when Hughes started throwing more, but they had me off balance. I'd play run and they'd pass. I'd play pass, they'd run. They just kind of had me mixed up pretty good, but I got burned a time or two on my nickel and dime packages against SMU. So I think I'm gonna definitely start going more back to my 3-4, but I'm not doing outstanding really across the board with much of anything there defensively. At least nothing that really jumps out at me. And then just kind of looking and seeing where Marshall may take me. They actually run a lot of 3-4 under, 3-3 salt, 3-3-5 predominantly. So that's not too worried about what they do defensively, because I'm going to basically attack them and try and set that tone. But they run probably 75% or more just strictly out of shotgun spread. They pepper some other stuff in here a little bit, but I'd say, probably 25% there, and then everything else is shotgun spread. And that's really about a 50-50 mix. they've given up 9 sacks, so the offensive line's decent. 6 games, that's really not a lot of sacks. So their line play looks like it's pretty good, not too bad. And then kind of looking, let's go kind of look at Marshall's stats and kind of see where that might end up being. So this guy here, he may be healthy and coming back, because DeVar Samuels, I thought, was their main quarterback, and he is a damn 96 speed. He's a dual threat. That could spell a lot of trouble, especially if that's what happened with him. But let's look at the rushing. Yeah, he's ran the quarterback's leading rusher. That sucks. Got to deal with that crap again. All right. Courtney Edmondson. And then I don't have anybody mixing it. Well, they get quite a few sacks, so they actually they share the love too. They spread it around pretty good. Let me go back and take a look at their schedule let's see what happened. So they had a bye week last week and didn't play, and then Tulane, Samuels played. So maybe it was Hart that actually started the year. No, that was Samuels. And that was Samuels. 18-74 against West Virginia. So they ended up losing their first 4 games. They've won the last 2. Hell, they beat SMU. Damn, SMU kicked the crap out of me, and they beat them. But I kicked the crap out of East Carolina, and East Carolina slaughtered them. This is where that East Carolina team, that Brockermeyer, I think is the quarterback's name, Brockmeyer, he threw for over 500 yards against Marshall. But in the other 3 games, East Carolina, that predominantly used the nickel dime package against him, he couldn't throw for 100 yards. Was completing 25% of his passes. For whatever reason, Marshall didn't run any of that. They stayed with their 3-4 and 3-3-5, and Brockmeyer lit them up. So that's promising. So that doesn't really tell me a lot there. They get slaughtered by East Carolina, and then they turn around and beat SMU, which is complete opposite for me. But that said, so I'm sitting there trying to figure out. So Samuels played that game. So where is Hart in all of this? The quarterback. Okay. Well, that could be a big reason why they lost as bad as they did too, is because it looks like Samuels went down early with an injury there. Yep. Oh wow. Third play of the game, Samuels went out. That's what happened to him. So that's where Hart stayed in. Hart came in. Actually, Hart did pretty damn well. 24-36 for 280 yards. So he filled in nicely. Hart. So he missed another game too. So, and Hart did well there. 29-37 for 348. He's not the runner, but Tavares is. It looked like they put Tavares Samuels back in. So I'll have to deal with Tavares. So I'm gonna have to look at that pretty hard. All right, so that's that piece of that. So now going back through, and I guess the next thing I want to look at, so I'm not going to really go through a lot of training or anything on this one, on my depth charts. I think that'll be next episode when I go through and get ready to play Marshall. This one here, since I did cover 2 weeks, we'll just go back and look through some of the let's do standings right now. So let's kind of see where we are. So currently in the ACC, only one undefeated team. That's North Carolina. They've moved all the way up to number 2. You have several, Miami and Maryland and Florida State are all ranked. Florida State's number 4 at 5-1. I think they lost their game early, so they've actually worked themselves back up to number 2. Starting to fill in some recruits here. They're starting to get some decent ones coming through here. A couple 5-stars have went to Florida State, got both of them. This Caravaggio is a really good defensive tackle. I think he was like number 11 overall in the country. And they got this other Brent Oldham, this 5-star tackle. So they're stacking on recruiting right now. The American Conference, Navy's 5-1. The other side's kind of a toss-up. Troy's 2-4. South Alabama's 3-3. But Western Kentucky and Navy's going to duke that one out. It looks like that's kind of where that one's kind of heading to. Big East. So the conference really had Louisville to pick to win it. They're sitting 2-4. West Virginia's number 12 in the country at 6-0. You've got Pittsburgh playing well out of the Big East South as well. Here's a surprise: Rutgers, number 8 in the country, 6-0. Very interesting. And if you look at 3 of the top 4 recruits in that conference have all gone to Rutgers, so they're actually recruiting pretty well. Also, you'd kind of look to Louisville, West Virginia, Pitt, Cincinnati to be the strong ones, recruiting wise, kind of on that side of it. But Rutgers is definitely holding their own there, and dropping to the Big Ten. So Notre Dame lost last week, so they've dropped to 4-2 now. Of course, it kind of looks weird to see Notre Dame in an actual conference, but again, that's part of that restructure. Getting all these conferences to 12 teams in 2 divisions, but your typicals are Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. They're all kind of at the top on the east side, and then you've got Iowa and Notre Dame sitting there in conference at 3-1, and then Wisconsin having a better overall record and better ranking, less conference games played, but they're right there at 2-1, 5-1 overall. Purdue's still winless, looking for their first win. Then going to the Big 12. You've got Iowa State, number 6 in the country. They're looking strong as well. Missouri and Oklahoma State. It's kind of weird to see Iowa State, Missouri, and Oklahoma State as the ranked teams. Oklahoma, Texas A&M, none of them are ranked. Actually, Texas A&M's 3-4, so they were ranked high at the beginning of the season, and they just kind of really just fallen off. I mean, they lost the first game, got blown out against Cincinnati. Then they won 3 straight. I mean, Coastal Carolina, Louisiana expected, Nebraska, but then they've lost their last 3. And really got blown out by Missouri. Iowa State handled them, and Oklahoma State did as well. So that's the Big 12. And then recruiting, looks like Baylor got them a 5-star. And wow, there's 4 or 5 stars gone here right now. So Oklahoma's got two of them, and A&M's picked up a running back, 5-star running back, Kendall Houston. But this 19 overall, Ronell Byers going to Baylor. That's strong for Baylor. Conference USA, which is our conference, 2-4, 1-2 in the conference now, kind of down there. We'll go into recruiting here shortly, but I actually did get my first 3 commits. So we did get that. 2 4-stars. Everything else has been 3 or lower in our conference. SMU got a 4-star defensive tackle, and Memphis got a 4-star cornerback, and then everything else is kind of 3-star. But I think all 3 of my commits were 3 stars. Memphis I think Memphis is probably the strongest team in the conference. We'll kind of see when it kind of gets to the end, but then going to the MAC, nothing. They're not heavy on recruits as far as signings go, and everything's kind of still a toss-up, middle of the road. Buffalo jumped out there. I think it was 5-0, and then they ended up losing their last week. They actually worked themselves up into the top 25, but then I think they lost and took themselves right back out of it. Mountain West. Couple ranked teams, San Diego State and Boise State. Boise State sitting 6-0. They're top 10 now, so they've just worked themselves up to number 10. You'd be watching for them. Recruit-wise, 3-star or lower, they haven't really signed a lot of recruits in that conference yet either. Pac-12, number 3, Washington, 6-0. You've got UCLA and Arizona's ranked, as well as Oregon. Oregon's 5-1, so it's looking like the North coming down to Washington. Oregon's going to be kind of a battle there, as well as USC and UCLA possibly in the South. So it'll be interesting to see how that conference championship kind of goes. And then the Southeastern Conference, Georgia, this is an interesting one. So Bama's 6-0, number one in the country, and this I'll show you how they got there because they just put a whooping on Georgia. They beat them 58-10, and when Georgia was ranked number one, so that bolted Alabama up to the number one spot and dropped Georgia down to the number 5 spot. But yeah, that was a freaking shellacking that they kind of put on them. All right, so SEC, and I think they've picked up. So yeah, Bama's got these 2 5-stars. They got this guard and quarterback coming in. Number 1 overall recruit and number 3 overall recruit in the country signed last week with Alabama. Lance Oliger and Kyle Hegarty. Georgia's got him a 5-star. And Braylon Groves, strong safety, 5-star to LSU. And then Tennessee, this Brett Haley center as a 5-star going to Tennessee there. Yeah. So several 5-stars are as you'd expect, are jumping into the SEC. And then the Sun Belt Conference, Coastal Carolina, I think, is probably them and JMU. I think are listed as maybe the top 2 teams outside of Brigham Young, obviously in the West there. So it's either going to probably be one of those 2 teams up against Brigham Young when the dust settles, possibly. Got a couple 4-stars going into that conference from recruiting, both of them to Brigham Young. And then now if we kind of go to, let's go to the league leaders here and kind of see where we stand. All right, let's look at the passing. So right now we're about halfway through the season. Most everybody's played around right at 6 games. And currently right now, this Kevin Jurovich, the San Jose State quarterback, is kicking in the Mountain West. He's actually doing really well. Of course, now he's injured though, so questionable. So he's likely to not be. They played 7 games. He's likely not to be playing next game, but he's thrown for almost 2,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 3 picks at this point. Arizona State, Swaggart, Swelters, A&M. Several guys kind of coming through here. Trying to look and see if any of these. Mark Crane, this Appalachian State quarterback, actually started the season really hot. Looks like he's fallen off a little bit. This Reed Wasper for Buffalo is pretty consistent. Looks like he's kind of staying through. Interceptions. So this Greg Mathis for Arkansas has thrown 14 picks. Lincoln Bach for Cincinnati's thrown 12. And a couple guys there with 10 touchdown passes. That Jurovich, Mark Mundros at one of the top, and Belagamba. Both of these are 2 of the top quarterbacks, at least preseason-wise. Look like they were definitely going to be 2 of the top quarterbacks in the country, and they definitely look like they are. Let's go to rushing now. And running right now, Julian Hayes, this Rutgers running back, has jumped up in the last couple of weeks, and he's leading the nation now with 830 yards on the ground. And Delroy Collins has kind of been up there with Auburn as well. Leading quarterback running, you got a couple of them up here. You've got this Kenny Wilborn from Troy, the one that ran 200 yards on me, is up there. He's a leading quarterback rusher with 671 yards. And then this Kalani Aldrich for Washington's got 645. Emmanuel McPherson for New Mexico, another running quarterback and dual threat, 573. And this Clay Hebert for Rice has 550. Quarterbacks are running. So you can kind of drop all the way down here to this Tavares Marshall, which is the guy I've got to face next. You've got basically about 9 quarterbacks here that could be pushing the limits of 1,000 yards by end of the season. Likely to go, to be at or over 1,000 yards, really. Running wide receivers again, it kind of goes to the norm. I mean, honestly, if you look six games into the season, no receiver on a jet sweep has actually broke for anything more than 16 yards. That's why I think the wide receiver running in this game is, quarterback might be tweaked a little bit too high, just a touch, but I think it's still okay. The receivers it's just, again, I don't really use it because it just doesn't seem like there's any value there to getting a couple yards on a jet sweep, which predominantly most of the time, you might run it 10 times and 8 times you get 2 yards or less. You might have that one time you get like 8 or 9 yards. It just doesn't seem like there's much juice for the squeeze to kind of keep doing it. But several teams actually use them a lot. I mean, you look at this Toledo receivers ran the ball 76 times. Now I would say 7 games. So you figure he's running 10 or 11 times a game. That's running back status. But he's not doing well. 1.8 yards per carry. I don't understand why the AI for these computer teams continue to do this. If it's not working, they're still doing it. So that's something I argue with that. I still say that the receiving running needs to be tweaked. It's just something's just not quite right with it. Fullback, again, this is one area I feel like I'm exploiting right now, especially with a guy that I have. He's leading the country in rushing for a fullback. 61 carries, 466 yards, 6 touchdowns. I think he's leading the touchdowns as well. Doing really well. Hadn't fumbled the ball, knock on wood. He's had two runs for 40. He's had 4 over 20. So when he busted, he actually can break it pretty good. And this Alfred Upton is one I just faced, and it's funny because he's up here like around 6 or 7 now fullbacks, 21 carries, 127 yards. It's almost like they gave me a taste of my own medicine, because if you look at what he did there, 2 for 14, 4 for 4, 2 for 1, 4 attempts, 12 yards, 3 attempts, 10 yards, and then he comes to play me and how I used my fullback in my offense. They did a lot of the same thing to me that I've been using Ware for, and it's pretty. The irony on that is pretty funny. But yeah, so basically hadn't done anything in 5 games. Gets here, has 6 carries for 86 yards and 2 touchdowns. And it just so happens to be on plays and a lot of the same things that I do with Ware. And that was pretty interesting. So that's kind of comical. But let's see, now receiving. So basically top receiver in yards is Dwayne Sanders. Let's fix that. Doesn't look right. Yeah, there we go. Alvin March from Arizona State. Okay, 736. That's damn solid there. 21 yards per catch. Several guys. I mean, you're looking at probably all the way down here. Everybody on this page is probably going to have on pace for 1,000 or better yards receiving. All receivers for the heavy yards. If you go and look at overall catches, 48 catches by Jonathan Pierce for Texas State. These 2 guys have been at here in the top pretty much the entire season. This Pipkins and Grissel, and they just are just steady. They just keep pace with whatever's there on top. Non-receivers, this Griffin Milner, JMU tight end, 40 catches. Landon Walker's working his way up now with the UTSA. He's 39 catches as well. Go to looking at running backs, 24 catches. This Lavesta Bryant, not bad for running back. And then fullbacks, this man Adewanye is from Kentucky, is still, well, Terrence Frederick's now picking it up too. He's got 30 catches, but that's a pretty good catching there. My guy's down here with 11, so he's not really even close to touching anybody up there on the receiving side. All right, let's see now defense. Let's go back and look at overall tackles. Dontrell Kingsley from Florida Atlantic has 69. That Stedman Bailey, he's been up there for a while as well. Randolph Kessler also 65 tackles. Probably anybody 50 or above is pacing to have 100 plus tackles in the season. And then you look at picks. I think we just had Chris Givens. This Wake Forest kid's got 6 interceptions now. You got a couple Western Michigan Broncos here. A couple of these guys, Taurus Ruth and Ricardo Anderson, have 4, so they're picking the ball pretty well. And then sack leaders, I think, are at 7. You've got several guys here at 7. A couple of them on the same team here, like these Mitch Minogue and Devontae Kennard for USC's got 6 and 6. All right. Go back through and look at teams on the sacks. Something I'm kind of curious to look at. Washington's up to 40 now, so they're pacing to probably be somewhere around 80 to 85 sacks probably by year end. That's bull rushing pretty good there. And then if you look on the bottom end side, 6 games in, these teams here are probably averaging 1 or less a game. You've got New Mexico, who's just got 1 on the season, probably 6 games in. Tackles for losses overall, UNLV is leading as a team with 49 of them. Let's see what some of the player leaders are with the TFLs. So this McKinley Spencer for UTEP has 17. 17. All right. Special teams. Quite a few punt returns, so nobody's got more than 1, but there's a few guys out here have 1. Not as many punt returns for a touchdown as what there are kick returns. There's a few guys out here that actually have 2 now. Kind of carrying that down. And then going into kicking, you look at the punter, like the punting average. I think, again, this is another aspect of the game that seems to be pretty heavy. I mean, you look at all these guys. This whole first page is about 30 players, and you got 30 punters that are averaging almost 48 yards a punt or more. Seems a little bit high, but again, like I said, I kind of complained about that in one game where a guy was kicking 65 yards on me, but then I turn around and get 1 too. So I can, if it's happening all the way around the board, it just seems like it's, probably maybe 3-4 yards more average, maybe above what it ought to be. I guess, I don't know, but that's still not too bad. And the field goal attempts, I mean, we've got Cincinnati's had 20 with this kicker, but this guy's hit 6. Wow, he's perfect. 17 for 17 and 15 for 15. Ryan Koch, he has not missed. All right, and then penalties. Again, this is something I think I sent off as well, because right now this stat view is listed as other, but really what it tells you, it should be penalties. It tells you who's committed penalties, because if you look at the overall plays, it doesn't really list everybody. If you go back and look at your team and your team only, you may only have 10 guys on it when you had 25 guys that actually taking snaps. But what it's doing, it's only registering players that actually have 1 or more penalties. So if a guy could be out there for 700 snaps and not committed a penalty, he's not going to be on this list. So I kind of sent that in. I've got just a request and find out can we just list everybody's plays, because I would like to know who's out there. Someone has taken 700 snaps and haven't committed a penalty. I'd kind of like to see that. I guess just from a stat standpoint, I don't guess it really buys you anything knowing that, but it would be good to have, I think. And then the offensive side, you got these pancakes here. Carl Moore for Florida got 64. That's a lot of pancakes. That's a lot of pancakes. Need a lot of syrup for that. And sacks allowed, man. This DeLone Carter's given up 12 in half a season. That's pretty rough. He's got to be a left tackle. No, he's a guard. Damn. Missed blocks. One of my guys is up here. I've got Damon Newton, who's missed 9 blocks for me. He is my left tackle. But he's not doing as bad as Darius Preston there. Then performance-wise, if you kind of look at the overall score, I guess that's kind of, I guess this is calculating and valuing the most valuable person out there, and this kind of currently has a linebacker listed as number 1 for the overall score, which I don't quite understand. Going above, guys like this Kalani Aldridge, who's completing 67% of his passes. He's thrown for 1,200 yards, and he looks like he's ran for almost 1,000 as well. But he's only calculating at a 12.29 score below this 58 tackle linebacker halfway through the season. That doesn't make a lot of sense either. So I'm not really sure how this all grades out, really. If I look at my conference, because I know my conference kind of better than anybody else. I mean, at least it does have this Keenan Bratcher up there kind of as the top. But even then, I don't know if he's that much more valuable than, some of the other guys that are kind of even in the conference here as well. But I mean, he's got 717 yards, which is pretty crazy, pretty good. But he's carried it 200 times too. So I mean, he's you got guys out there with 600 yards that's averaging 6 yards a carry, and he's got 100 more yards than they do, but he's carried it twice as many times. But he is a bull. This guy, he's carried it 35, 31, 34, 31, 32, 34 times every game. It's just crazy. Overall 96, his agility is a 95, his speed's a 98, his endurance is 80, which is crazy to me because looking at those numbers, I would think his endurance would be like 100 or something. I would think with an 80 endurance that he would maybe not be able to carry as much, but then again too, I guess maybe watching the second half of this season here, is he going to wear himself out? I don't know if that's coded or not, but it could be to the point where he is more susceptible to an injury or something, possibly. All right, let's see. Let me get out of this other team. I'm in some other team. It must have been the last one I looked at because I noticed I showed 12 emails. I'm like, I read my emails. All right, so this is going back. So these are the 3 commits that I've got. And they were basically the last episode that I did, which was the week before the last one, because I've actually covered the last game and went through just finished out another week of recruiting. One thing I did notice is I think I lied to you. I lied last time, so I had that breakdown where I showed the signings for the different week to week, where I kind of track those. For some reason in my head, I was thinking that the week 5 or week 6 was a heavy week coming in, where you get like 100 plus signings. And that's not really the case. I went back and looked at some test leagues that I did, and then some other leagues that I've kind of ran, and it's really week 8. It was the week consistently that topped the 100 signings, and then basically I would expect in week 9 coming up probably as much as 200 that week, and then another week 10 that's going to be pretty close to that. But this did fall, but it did seem like it started at like 20, ramped up to like 50, 60, got to 100, and then went to 200. So this is kind of really falling in line with what I had in the past. I was a couple weeks off on it though. But this is what we just had basically signed, was this 107 recruits. So that was the week that actually got us over the 100 mark, and that's basically where these 3 fell into. Being a 50 prestige team, that's about falling in line with getting your first signings probably week 8 or week 9, and that's about what it did. But I've got this the receiver. I'm losing 4 receivers, so I finally got my first one. So 1 down, got 3 more to try and get to replenish kind of where I'm at. But this is Kelvin Camp. He's the 6'3", 201-pound kid out of Prattville, Alabama. And all in all, the only thing I don't really like on this is his run blocking is a D-. I really would like that to be a little bit better, especially as much as I run outside. But he's got C hands, average, B speed, B intelligence, B agility, and B strength. So everything else is pretty good. Low work ethic, not crazy. And I did see some of this stuff dip. It seemed like some of this stuff was a lot better early in the season, and some of those areas started to kind of fall off. The second guy that I got was this Kenton Saunders, this running back. So I'm losing one running back, so I've got my running back. I don't think I really need to push or target a second one coming out, which kind of, if I didn't get Saunders, I was going to go after that Jaquan Ambrose pretty hard. But I did get this guy, and some of his stuff kind of fell too, and it's kind of funny. It looked like a few of these fell this week after he signs, which is not great. I mean, C- hands. I think they were B- before. They might have been B-, fell to C, and then now C-. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to be trending in the right area. He graded decent. But he's a good leader, which is good. I can take that. He's average on his work ethic. And then this Aroldis Wright, so I think I'm losing one tackle, so I've got my tackle. So I don't, running back and tackles, two things I can kind of stop looking at. So I'll definitely be going through next episode. I'm going to be adjusting my board this week, and some of the ones I kind of have there as running back and tackles, I'm going to be expending a lot less energy on, and probably just even removing some of them. But this guy here, I hate his hands, but he's smart, and he's pretty decent blocking, and he's strong. So I've got a tackle that I've got to replace. But 775, 957, and 451 overall. I know that doesn't mean you shouldn't really look at that as being something that's significant. I don't think, because I think you could find some 2-star guys that might be 2000s that are gonna be better than probably any one of these guys are. So you have to really, that's where you kind of go through the recruiting. It's really a grind. You have to really enjoy the grind going through it, because you really do need to go through those 2,000 or 3,000 people as best you can, even if you quick glancing through them. You just really got to try and find those diamonds in the rough that are down there as 2-stars. Because you're going to have those 4-stars out there. You're going to think, great, man, I got this guy, and he turns out to be just squash, just nothing. Then you got that 2-star guy that could just come up and just be your All-American. So that's it. I still have to go through and schedule all of my outreach stuff as well. So we'll jump in this recruiting and just kind of look where we kind of stand with some of this stuff. And from my targets, so now I'm down to 96 targets. I'm fixing to definitely dip well below that, because like I said, I've got all these tackles here. I'm not really going to be looking hard at any more of them. I may keep a couple of them on there just if I fall out in some other area. Again, like I said, I'm going to try and sign a quarterback. I don't need one, so I'm either going to have to cut one or hope that one of mine actually transfers, or I'll end up having to lose a position down and not cover, carry 10 receivers, maybe carry 9. I don't know, but we'll see. So right now, I didn't lose any of my commits that I had an offer out to, haven't gone somewhere else. So I still have 17 offers out there with 3 commits, for my 20 overall offers that are kind of out there. And then this is the running back. So again, early in the season, I think in the first episode or two, this being the first year, I kind of talked about going through and offering scholarships too early and kind of not really knowing what kind of team I have and stuff. I just kind of play it a little bit differently, where I'll just kind of jump out there and offer scholarship earlys and just kind of match them to the positions I need and this, that, and the other. When I get into year 2, 3, and 4, I don't really so much do that. Honestly, I don't know if that's really a good thing to do, because hindsight looking on it, now granted, if I didn't offer a running back a scholarship until a week or 2 ago, would one sign with me here in week 8, 2 weeks later? Doubtful. But I'd probably have a little bit more information to go on, because quite honestly, I think this guy, he's probably would be a better signing than Saunders that I just got. And quite frankly, and he's a 3-star 985, so and this guy here's a 3-star 1383, and I think even this guy is possibly a better signing than what I got. He's A- speed, not strong, but Donation Pierpont. So either one of these two guys, I would have absolutely took. If Saunders went somewhere else, that I'd have been throwing down on one of these two guys, and probably maybe would have been better off for it. I don't know, but that's once I offer something out there, though, man, it's hard for me to revoke something unless I just see it really turning for the worst. If I don't really have a reason to revoke it, unless it just really just starts going to crap. It's kind of hard to do that because you expend all that dang money and energy, and you offer early for those bonus points and things that might be there. But there's no guarantee that you really even get a bonus out of that, because it really depends on how you're matching up with what you're offering the kid, or kind of what you're talking to him about and everything else too. So this guy here, I'm going to sign him if I can get him. I've offered him a scholarship, and he's already heated up to warm. And this is that quarterback that's out of New York. And I look at these F hands, and I don't know how much that really matters. I know you think from the aspect of fumbling and everything, but I mean, my God, Brock Ferguson, the guy that I've actually had start half the season for me just about, hasn't fumbled the ball. He's got 1 hands. He's a 1 out of 100. So you can't get any more F than that. So, that being said, kind of looking at the recruiting side here and seeing this F on Mark Penn, I'm not too overly concerned, and really even look at that rating too much from a quarterback perspective. But he's strong. He's fairly agile, but he's got a B+ arm. He's got an above average arm. He's a good high intelligence, high accuracy. He's just not fast. But high intelligence, he still can run the RPO. I mean, I'm just not, I'm not going to utilize it to the degree that I'm going to run option plays with him or depend on his legs too much. But with his intelligence and arm and everything else, I think I could still use this guy. So I'm kind of excited. I mean, 100 work ethic. That's awesome. I would like to see at the quarterback position higher leadership than 59. But again, this 59 is higher than any leadership quarterback quality I have on my team right now. So that, just this 100 work ethic and 95 disposition is good enough for me to say in these ratings, I'll tell you, I'll take him. He'll start next year. He'll be better than he'll probably possibly start ahead of Arlen. But it'll be between him and Arlen if it comes down to it. So I kind of really do want him. But I don't need a running back now. Tight ends, I still need 2. And this guy here, God Almighty, I don't know if I really have a snowball's chance in hell for this guy. But at the end of the day, though, nobody else has offered him. I mean, here we're going into week 9 of the recruiting side, and I'm still the only offer that's out there for this guy. He's got a lot of other interest in other teams. He's concerned about playing time. I've promised him playing time. He'll be my starting tight end with the other 2 graduating. So if I can get him, that's going to be huge. But I really need to get a second one as well. And I've got that offer out here to Bird. But again, if either one of these fall out, this is the other one I'm kind of looking to go to. Is this Greg Curtis kid. So I'll try and offer out to him if that happens. This is the area where I still need 3 receivers because I'm losing 4. I've just signed, got 1 committed. I've got 2 more offers out here to this Ramars Felder and Jamil Metcalf. Neither one of these, I mean, he's high on Akron, and neither one of them are really heavy for me at least right now. He doesn't really have a top school right now, but right now Metcalf's got another offer, and it's got to be Akron. So I could be losing this guy, but I have seen his ratings look pretty good. I mean, they're still pretty solid across the board. And he's 6'4". I really would hate to lose him, but if I do, this is probably the next offer that I've got going out there, and he's 6'5". He at one time did have A speed. His speed's fallen down to B now, and his hands have taken a back a little bit too, and he's F run blocking. So I could be reconsidering that. He was one I was definitely looking at pretty heavy. This Kendrell Joseph is another one. He's not a big receiver, but he's decent run blocker, decent speed, decent hands, agility. So I've still got a few of them out here. This LJ Motley, I think, is another one that I looked at him for A- speed and the hands was great, but he's F run blocking. So I've still got to kind of work through some of that, and I'm probably going to be dropping a lot of people off and seeing if I can put other people on too. The guards, I still got to have 2 guards, and I got these 2 offers out here to them. Again, solidly the only offers that are out there. Don't need tackles anymore. I've still got this 1 center, and their interest just still isn't climbing. I got this 1 kicker offer out there too. Defensive tackles, I've got 2 that I need to sign here. This Jameikaz Mayfield's got a secondary offer now, so I could be losing him. But this is the guy this is probably the next guy on my recruiting list that I wish I could sign tomorrow. I want this guy. He's B all the way down, and he's North Carolina. There's no other top schools, so I don't know. I've been recruiting him since day 1, and I think he's even been offered since day 1. So I'm hoping that kind of counts for something. But I really, really want this guy. Defensive ends, I think I got 1 out there, and this Curlin Oliver. He's kind of these guys have been the ones that have been out there since day 1 too, and they're just interest isn't picking up heavy. DeLeon Ralston, same way, been out there since day 1, offered, pretty solid. Really would like to get him signed as well. Cornerbacks, I think I've got 2. Tervalence Cousins, Malik Baxter, I think I'm going to lose. He's got a secondary offer now, and it looks like Louisiana Tech, they're likely to come in and swoop him off of me. But I feel like I definitely offered ahead of them, and I feel like I've maybe been recruiting longer, so maybe I've got more of a dollar spend on him. We'll see if that accounts for anything, but I have a couple fallbacks here too that still don't have offers. Like this Tavares Hughes is pretty decent, and Kendall Flowers I think is pretty decent. So I've definitely got a couple fallbacks on the corner. I got a strong list of corners here that I can kind of go to, and I've just got to start trying to spread a little bit of money around maybe to some of them, but I've really got to slack off on my spending some. The strong safety, I've got 1 out there, this Jordan Marsh. He's got a secondary offer, but he's still not listing a top school. He's graded pretty decently. Not very agile, but A- speed, tackling's a B. It's looking pretty good. And then going to free safety, I've got 1 offer out there. That's Rashante Lanier, still the only offer. So he's kind of the only one that's there that I've really offered to. If I look at my scholarship offers that are remaining out of the 17, if I go through the list, there's 13 of them I'm still just the single offer for. There's only 1 guy that's showing warm interest, and that's that Mark Penn quarterback. Everybody else is still just showing some. It's not really increasing. And I've got 4 offers out there to guys that only have 1 secondary offer. So there's just 1 other school that's offering to them, and I've got some pretty heavy money spends on all of these guys right now. So we're going to see maybe what happens there, but we'll kind of go from there. But I think that puts me about an hour and 15 into this episode. Went a little longer than I thought, not covering 2 weeks like that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and close this one out, and we're going to get ready to go through. So thing I've got to work on is I've got to work on my recruiting, build my board back out and stuff like that, and then go through my training, and then go through my game planning and depth charts and my roster and injury replacements and things of that nature, and get all that stuff done, and then get ready to play Marshall. So I think what I might do is I might actually get all of that for the next episode taken there, kind of run through all of those pieces and talk about some of that stuff, and then maybe jump into the Marshall game and maybe play some of that game out. I don't know if I play up to the 4th quarter and then jump in and have that in the 4th quarter in the episode, and and close it out that way. But there is one thing that I did want to touch on real quick before we went, and it's something that I just learned, and I just learned this off the boards the other day because I've never really paid attention to it, never really noticed it. But if you go to like your depth chart, for example, say go to your run package. Now you look at your formation view and go to your I formation. It shows you a cohesion rating. Now, this is something that's new, and I don't know how much it comes into play because I'm halfway through the season. I went through all of this and looked at this. And I would like to learn a little bit more about this cohesion because everything shows low for me. But if you jump into some of these guys and you look at some of their ratings, for example, let's do a quick view on the roster for a receiver. I mean, you can go to Sylvester McCants and you can look at his bio and social. He's got all these cohesion ratings here, and so he's medium with a lot of these guys. And a lot of these guys are playing beside him. So I've got Bates is there, Havens is there, Bayham and Jensen. But yet when you go out here to your depth chart, no matter what formation I look at, cohesion shows low. So I'm not sure what that is really telling me. But the other nice thing is you can kind of click off of some of that. I guess it just showed. See, I don't even know what this does, honestly. So it doesn't really change anything. Now, if you go through this and you basically, so it'll show you, who's in your formation there for the pro set, and then you can kind of even look through here, and it gives you all your skill ratings, things like that. It kind of shows you what their current stats are, shows you the morale, and all those things. It doesn't really tell you or show you anything from a cohesion perspective between all of these players. So I don't know what this is supposed to do, but it would be nice to kind of get more information on that. But I wasn't sure if anybody out there has kind of noticed this or understands maybe this cohesion side a little bit better. Maybe give me some information in the comments field of the episode or something. But that's just something I saw on the boards and was talking about. So when I jumped in and looked, I was like, I've never noticed that, and it's been here all along. At least in version 26. I don't think that it wasn't in 25 or sooner. I think the cohesion piece is kind of new. But anyway, with that said, I think we'll close this thing out. Hour and 20 minutes in. So again, I'll jump in and probably by Friday have another episode out there. Probably this Marshall game, and that'll be going through looking at some of the recruiting, jumping back in, looking at some of the board stuff. So. At least ways in that episode, if we kind of go through all of that, then I can kind of get down and show the fourth quarter and play that Marshall game. I can get through, finish out the week, and then in that same episode, we can kind of see if we've got any signings or any changes from the recruiting aspect going into the next week for Houston. With that said, though, I'll drop this off and appreciate you guys for watching if you're enjoying it, and I will talk to you on the next one.